The Allies dropped 60,000 tons of bombs on these structures. Not a single one was destroyed. Here's why German U-boat pens were engineering nightmares that couldn't be stopped. By 1943, German U-boats were sinking 700,000 tons of Allied shipping every month. The submarines had to be stopped, but they hid inside fortresses that seemed impossible to crack. British bombers tried everything. American B-17s unloaded thousands of tons of explosives. Nothing worked. So what made these structures so indestructible? It all came down to one material the Germans used in a way no one had before. And by the time the Allies figured it out, it was already too late. The U-boat pens weren't just concrete bunkers, they were architectural monsters. The roof alone was 23 feet thick. That's the height of a two-story building made entirely of reinforced concrete. Some had multiple layers with empty space between them to absorb blast force. When a 4,000-pound bomb hit, it would penetrate the first layer, detonate in the gap, and the second layer would hold. But here's the genius part. The Germans didn't just build thick roofs. They poured the concrete in a specific way that made it stronger over time. Normal concrete takes weeks to cure, but U-boat pen concrete was mixed with special additives that kept curing for years. The longer the war went on, the harder these structures became. Allied intelligence didn't know this. They kept using the same bomb strategies, expecting them to work. They were attacking structures that were getting stronger with every passing month. And the U-boats kept sailing out. The largest pens could shelter 15 U-boats at once. Inside, crews would rearm, refuel, and repair in complete safety. The pens at Saint-Nazaire in France had walls 26 feet thick. The complex covered 300,000 square feet. British Bomber Command threw everything at them. Tall boy bombs, 12,000 pounds each. Blockbuster bombs. Even experimental earthquake bombs designed by Barnes Wallis. The bombs created massive craters around the pens. They destroyed the surrounding city. But the pens themselves? Barely scratched. By 1944, the Allies were desperate. They knew if they couldn't destroy the pens, they had to try something else. The RAF developed a new strategy. Instead of targeting the roofs, they started bombing the entrances, trying to seal the U-boats inside with rubble. It worked sometimes, but German crews would clear the debris within days. Then the Americans tried something radical. They loaded B-17s with 20,000 pounds of explosives and turned them into flying bombs, piloted by volunteer crews who would bail out at the last second. Operation Aphrodite. It was a disaster. Multiple crews died. The pens remained operational. So why were the pens literally indestructible? 3 reasons. First, the concrete mixture. The Germans used something called Fangrost, a special aggregate that distributed explosive force across the entire structure instead of creating localized damage. Second, the layered design, multiple concrete slabs separated by air gaps and steel mesh. Each layer absorbed and dispersed energy. Third, the sheer mass. Some pens used over 60,000 cubic meters of concrete. That's 150,000 tons of material. No bomb in World War II could generate enough force to collapse that much mass. Inside, U-boat crews felt invincible. While Allied bombers pounded the roofs above them, they'd eat meals, sleep, and prepare for their next patrol. One German submariner wrote, "We could hear the bombs exploding outside. The lights would flicker. Dust would fall from the ceiling. But we knew nothing could reach us. We were untouchable." And statistically, he was right. Not a single U-boat was ever destroyed by bombing while inside a pen. The only U-boats sunk in pens were hit by sabotage or caught outside during raids. So how did the Allies finally win? They couldn't destroy the pens, so they changed strategy completely. Instead of bombing the structures, they targeted the supply lines, fuel depots, torpedo storage, railroad connections. They mined the harbour entrances. By late 1944, the pens still stood. But the U-boats inside couldn't get fuel, couldn't get torpedoes, and couldn't get out safely. The fortresses became prisons. Today, many of these pens still stand. Some are museums, others are abandoned. In Brest, France, you can walk inside and see the massive concrete chambers exactly as they were in 1944. The walls still bear scorch marks from Allied bombs. They tried to demolish some after the war. It was too expensive. The concrete was too strong. The Germans built them to last 1,000 years. At this rate, they might. These structures changed naval warfare forever. Want to see what other World War II engineering projects seemed impossible? Check out this video next.